In this video, I want to talk a little bit about elbows. Elbows are amongst my favorite natural weapons. They cause heavy percussive impact, and like Christmas gifts, percussive impact is better to give than to receive. Now, the other thing is when you hit someone into the tight skin on the eyebrow, you're quite likely to cut them with elbows, which can be bad, can be good, depending on who they are, right? You don't want to get covered in someone's blood that, is a IV drug user or is carrying some kind of disease, and blood makes things slippery. But it's very intimidating to have blood running into your eyes and, put your hands up and see that you're bleeding. But bleeding is not, especially like if it's not heavy bleeding, it's not going to stop somebody, and it's not going to stop somebody committed to hurting you. But heavy percussive impact into the brain can. Elbows can be chained with other techniques. They can be used counter-offensively to close distance and cause pain on the first contact. Getting close enough to use elbows is not always easy. However, when people are aggressive, they tend to close distance into clinching range. Now you can use elbows with attachment, where I grab somebody, right? Either like if they've got a heavy piece of clothing, I can grab their clothing, I can grab their hair, and grab the back of their head and elbow. They're not gonna let you do it though. Keep in mind that to make your elbows work, you have to be able to fight generally. Now you can use them as a shock where you are counter ambushing this person. You're like, hey man, I don't want to fight. And you attack violently and try to overwhelm them before they have time to adapt to what you're doing, right? They can come upward, they can come downward, they can come horizontal, they can come back, they can come around. There's so many ways to throw an elbow, especially if you train in Muay Thai, right? We have many ways to throw an elbow, but you have to have fighting skills to be able to close distance. You have to be a pugilist as well as whatever else you train. But having that pugilistic skills of boxing, Muay Thai, whatever, will allow you to get to this distance. Knowing how to work in a clinch will help you be able to get the elbow in there. The other thing about elbows is that when you cover, there's a good chance if you do this with your elbows out front that you might meet their knuckles and break people's hands. Now that may or may not have an effect immediately. People can fight through broken hands, but it does make their day a little more difficult, and the pain may eventually get through their adrenaline. May not though, may not. None of these things are for sure, right? But a couple of things that are higher percentage techniques are like the elbow to the jaw or the throat, okay? A good hard smash to the nose might. These are all mites. They can have an effect, but you have to practice. You may not be able to throw elbows in sparring, but you have to be able to box, kickbox, whatever. You have to be able to close distance. You have to be able to protect yourself from other people hitting you. Just practicing a technique on a bag is not gonna gets you fighting ability. You have to work with partners, and you have to spar and hit and get hit to be an effective fighter. Ambushing is probably your surest way. If you initiate when you're not expected to be initiating, when someone's pretty sure that they're gonna intimidate you and you're gonna back down, you're gonna cower, even, setting up, please. And they work great with headbutts. They work great with knees. Although, be careful kneeing, because anytime you're on one leg, your leg can be grabbed and you can be dumped on the ground. All right? So, let's go play with some elbows. Your ability to use any of your natural weapons is only as good as your ability to fight. So do all the things that pugilists do. Hit heavy bags, hit pads, get in fucking good shape and spar. Even if you are in a situation like me where you physically should not take impact, find people you trust to spar light with, just to keep your timing up, right? We get older, we can do less hard physical training, but we can still come in and hit the bags hard. We can still come in and work our bodies hard, work within your ability, but fucking work. Whether we are talking about a actual weapon or weapons, natural weapons, I should say, of the body, such as the elbow, the knee, the headbutt, fists, palms, whatever, eye gouges, whatever your favorite natural weapon is, or if you carry firearms or edged weapons, you need the skills to get to those weapons. If you love close range weapons like elbows, you need the skill to bridge to close range. And while some violence, especially social violence, starts with intimidation and closing the distance, you never know what you're going to be dealing with. You need to be able to close the distance yourself to get to the range that you're comfortable in, or you need to be able to expand the distance to be able to escape or whatever. There's no sure thing. There's no this is the way it'll be. Because when it comes to an actual violent encounter, you don't know what it'll be. There's statistics that can tell us what it should be or might be or will more likely be. But in the end, we have to deal with whatever it is. And we have to be flexible. We have to be adaptable. And the best way to be flexible and adaptable is to have a high level of skill in different ranges, different environments, and with different weapons. We need variety. However, if we give ourselves too many choices, we don't keep simple, we start collecting a whole pile of techniques and a whole pile of possibilities, then we become a person who is a jack of all trades and master of none, and we overload our mind with choices. We got to keep things simple. We have to have a core of simple techniques. Otherwise, when we feel pressure, when adrenaline hits, when fear hits, when we get that oh shit moment, we will have too many choices to trip over in our brains, and there's a good chance we will freeze. This is another thing that creates the freeze. It's best to keep things simple, but still have enough skill to be adaptable. And if you teach, you should also know some things that aren't part of your core movement, that aren't part of your core techniques, that you can pass on to others, because we're all different. And the things that become my core techniques may not even work for you. So you need to be knowledgeable about more than your core, but practice
and perfect what you consider your core techniques. And the elbow is one of mine. If you talk to anybody who's ever fought Thai boxing, they'll tell you that it's not always easy landing an elbow. People move their head. It's a very short weapon. So this is why you see me attaching it, and throwing it a lot of the times, because I want to hold that head still so it can't weave back out of the range of my elbow, because it's a short range weapon. In the end, it's up to each one of us to put the time in and get the skills we need to be effective fighters if we believe that this is a life skill that can protect us and protect our loved ones. It's up to each one of us to put the effort to be as good as we can with our own fitness levels, our own bodies, and our own abilities. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, this is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt.